Hi friends, it's Suzanne here from sunstampin.com. I'm a Canadian Stampin' Up demonstrator. I want to welcome you to my weekly Wildcard Wednesday video on my blog and YouTube channel. The card designs I share today are a little more technique driven, but nothing too complicated. I also sell the products I feature in this video. I hope you enjoy my free video tutorial and would love to see you shop with me. For today's card, I'm featuring a stamp set called Seaside Notions. And also, I'm going to be showing you how to use the pigment sprinkles as well. I use them a little differently, actually. So I have my Stamparatus here and I'm inking up my images with StazOn ink because I'm going to be using the sprinkles, which are going to be mixed with water. So I need an ink that is resistant to water, and StazOn is. It is impervious to water, so it's not going to run my images. So my StazOn ink pad is actually quite dry. I had to ink it up halfway through this session, but yeah, I was able to ink it up, close the door several times to get a nice impression. So I have this board and it has a non-porous surface on top. So it's like a little craft mat. Now you could use a piece of plastic. If you have this, wrap a plastic around cardboard or something like that. It does the same thing. Now what I'm doing is sprinkling on two different colors, so that's blue and green, of the pigment sprinkles, and I am spritzing just with water. So this is kind of like a smooshing technique, really. So that's my watercolor paper, and I just put it right down into those beads. I don't really care which. I'm going to get a different sort of the mixture of the Coastal Cabana and Granny Apple Green. And I just want you to know that the pigment sprinkles, they're $31. You'll find them on page 179 of the annual catalog. And first of all, there's 6 colors. When we had the Brusho colors, there was only 5, and the Brusho colors were actually something close to $50 Canadian. I'm speaking Canadian, so don't get mad at me if it's, you know, more than what you're used to. Anyway, that's happened before and people are like, you're crazy. I'm like, no, I'm Canadian. We have to pay more for everything. Anyway, the sprinkles are $31 and you get 6 of them. So that's cool. So the first 2 I used were Bermuda Bay and Granny Green Apple. And now I'm going in with Daffodil Delight and Melon Mambo. So kind of a pinky and a yellow. So hopefully I'll get some orange in there. So like I said, I stamped the images 4 times on watercolor paper. So the reason being, if I'm going to go to the trouble of making all this mess, I'm going to have a couple of different colors, and it's just a really easy and simple way of inking up and colorizing your images so that they become, there's gradients and there's like blends, and it's actually just fun, right? I have fun like this. Well, I don't like walking around with, you know, ink under my fingernails for 3 days because I can't get it off. That's not fun. But aside from that, it's pretty fun. All right, so you can see I have a towel off to the side. I'm sort of dipping and that sort of thing. And then I dried them all. So now I'm going to work on the background colors. So I'm going to use the Bermuda Bay and what is the green, Gorgeous Grape. So I'm spritzing with some water and on my non-porous surface. And then I'm going to do, this is actually, it didn't work as well as I had hoped, but this was those shimmer paints. We still have a couple for sale. This was the champagne shimmer paint, or was it white? No, it was white. And I flicked it on and I was actually hoping to get sort of, I don't know, like streaks of white in there, and I did not. So I ended up having to spritz after the pages were dry. So I'm going to do 3 cards today. So I'm going to make 3 backgrounds, and you can see how beautifully these colors sort of blend. So I am making underwater scenes. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just like making room for the third one and holding them onto the side. And what happens is all the ink and water is like dripping to the bottom and pooling at the bottom, so that I get sort of a bit of a movement going on in my with my backgrounds. So of course on all of the pages, and I didn't show this, but in all of the pages I heat set it. I wanted to get them dry. I was impatient. The papers do curl up, but you can see as they dry, they flatten. And then I use my rectangle stitched die and I ran it through the Big Shot so that that would even help it a little bit more to straighten as well. So here's my shimmer paint again, and I'm flicking on some of the color. This would work well if you were going to do a galaxy background as well. So now that everything's dry and I took the time to fussy cut, I know I was crazy, right? That's why Monday's video was late, because I was too busy fussy cutting. Anyway, okay, so this is Whisper White thick card base, and I'm adhering my lovely underwater background on my Whisper White card. Now I have a plan in mind, but I didn't know the placement of things. So I do know that I'm doing an underwater scene, and I know that I'm going to be using a sentiment, and I'm going to be using some of the or a lot of the sea creatures that I stamped, but I'm not 100% sure on the placement yet. So these ovals, they're sort of short and squat, and this oval comes from, what's it called? Detailed Band Dies. You'll find them in the annual catalog, and I'm actually digging it. I'm digging that die, actually. It's got a whole bunch of useful things to it. So I stamped with Stays On to keep the black the same, and I'm coming in with Seaside Spray because I feel like Seaside Spray has a little bit of purple to it, so I think it's going to go well with the background. I've popped everything up on dimensionals, and here I'm starting to place. So this was a lovely coral piece. I always started with this coral piece because I figured it needed to be in the background. Then my shell here is kind of big, and I am covering one of the pieces that I actually, or one of the spots that I really liked on that page, but it's just the way it went. And I put my seahorse up on dimensionals. So some elements are on dimensionals. I think that seahorse is on 2 sets of dimensionals. And, you know, like you're just creating layers, you're creating a scene, something fun. And how bright and colorful. So moving on to card number 2. Now that you've seen how I've done it, I'm going to speed this up and sort of cut out all the parts that you really, you know, don't need to see me putting dimensionals on stuff. So I stuck down the coral, then dimensionals with the seahorse, the regular dry adhesive with my shells, and I just sort of, you know, you place things where you like them. Trust me, there is a little bit more fussing and finding out where everything went that I'm actually showing in this video. I think the third one, this third card, was the hardest for me for placement. You know, I'm trying the horse, the seahorse, and I actually eventually move it from that position that it's in now. And then I realized that, you know, I needed to put 2 horses on here. So, and I really love this one. So I'm going to show you all the cards, and 1, 2, and 3. And I would love for you to tell me which one is your favorite. Okay, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. On screen are 2 more videos for inspiration. Click on the maple leaf for my blog, or click on me to subscribe to my channel. Thanks again for watching.